Good morning from Kochi, India. Today we are leaving the city and heading towards the mountains of Munnar.
It's about a 5-hour drive over towards that area, and I'm really excited because the landscape's going to change drastically, and we've gotten a really good taste of the city and what India's all about, or specifically what Kerala is about. So heading towards the mountains, it's going to be totally different, and I can't wait to see it, but we're going to hop into our car and drive that way.
We've been in the car for about 5 hours now, and the drive itself has been absolutely breathtaking. I feel like as we left the city and there were just fewer and fewer buildings, I could feel the car just becoming encapsulated by the lush greenery of the mountains. And I just love looking up and seeing the light filter through the canopy. I felt such a sense of calm as we came into, the nature that is now surrounding us. And I did want to say a little pro tip for the ladies. When we were coming here, of course, we needed some bathroom breaks. And toilet paper is not a common thing to find in the bathroom, so just make sure you have some tissues with you in your purse. That way you're always prepared. And also, because this is quite a windy drive into the mountains, if you're prone to motion sickness, make sure you have a motion sickness patch or some Dramamine tablets, because that's going to make all the difference for the ride.
So I actually did the math, in our car ride today. It was about 7 hours because we did arrive on a Saturday, and all of the locals, apparently like 50% of the tourists in this area are locals, like domestically. And so the roads were packed with people, but it's really exciting because for the next 2 nights, Claire and I are having a glamping experience up in the mountains. It's way cooler here, and as I just look out, it is so vast, and we're walking to our accommodations about 1.5 miles away. There's so many tea plants all around us, and I just feel like I'm in a totally different world.
I was just telling our guide that there's one thing that I really want to see here in Munnar, and it is the giant squirrel. I don't know where my obsession with squirrels has come from, but everywhere that we go, if there's a special squirrel, I want to have the opportunity to see it. And the giant ones obviously are giant, and they just look very different from the North American squirrel. And so I'm keeping my eyes peeled, and wish me some luck. Hopefully I will be able to spot one.
So we've been walking for about 25 minutes, and it's gotten a lot more dense, and there's this huge canopy above me, but behind me is this marker which marks Tamil Nadu, which is a state here in India. And then on this other side is Kerala, which is the state we're primarily visiting. But where we're staying is right on the border of the 2 states.
We just turned the corner on the trail leading up to our camp, and we got our first glimpse of where we're gonna be staying for the next 2 nights. And because it's sunset, everything is just glowing yellow around us. I feel just so calm and grateful to be here in the mountains of Munnar. We just checked into our little A-frame abode and it feels like we're living in a greenhouse just because I'm surrounded by so many windows. So there's lots of natural light just flooding into this A-frame. We have ourselves some white tea as a welcome drink and also some vegetable samosas I'm really excited to dig into. And the man that was walking with us, our guide, he not only is going to be our guide for this entire time, but he's also the cook. And he said that he's completely self-taught. I'm really excited to try his food this evening. I cannot stress how silent it is. All we can hear are birds chirping around us. And yeah, I'm just so excited to go out there with my white tea, breathe in some fresh air, and munch on these vegetable samosas. We are enjoying a pre-dinner bonfire, and with how humid it is here, I thought it would take a lot longer for it to catch, but it kind of just poof went up in flames.
Wow, even the smoke has a shadow. See it? The shadow?
Oh wow, yeah.
We made a reservation for 7 o'clock at their restaurant. We are the only guest here, and I love it.
Yes, table for two.
Table for two.
There's a handwritten drink menu on the wall, and it's just so cute. After a delicious dinner, we got the chance to sit around a campfire with our host, and as our eyes slowly adjusted to the darkness, we looked up and there were just so many stars, and I feel like more and more were just popping out from the sky the longer we stared up at it. And that's got to be one of the moments where we've seen the most stars in our entire life. I don't think I've seen that many stars ever since we were in the Amazon rainforest. And so I was telling Chad, of course you gotta go and get a star time lapse tonight. So that's how we're going to end the evening, just stargazing and enjoying the beauty of the great outdoors. We'll just catch you all in the morning. It is a very bright and sunny day here in the mountains of Munnar, and we're going out on a hike to a nearby mountain that we actually saw coming in yesterday. Apparently on this other mountain you're able to get like 360 views of the other side of Munnar, so I'm very excited to see it.
This morning, as one of our activities, we are going on a hike to a nearby mountain, but it's definitely going to be a steep ascent up this hill. I was able to see it from a lookout on the hike earlier, and it's definitely a big mountain. Our guide says that it's about an hour hike. I'm gonna be very surprised if we do it in an hour. We'll see how it goes. Well, the hike was actually faster than I expected. We made it up here in less than 1 hour, which is great. And it is so beautiful. You can see so many tea plantations off in the distance, a massive valley behind us. And the hike itself was pretty steep.
Yeah, that was the steepest hike I've ever been on, and also the trail had the densest greenery that I've ever gone through. I was like brushing, I want to say ferns and just all sorts of plants out of the way, and just really felt like I was immersed in the jungle.
Yes, and our guide actually saw a wild mountain goat,
Yeah.
which was apparently very small. It's like the size of our dogs, probably.
And now we are at the top and we have 360 views of just endless mountains going off into the distance. Chad was actually asking our guide why it's so foggy here, and our guide was saying that there's just this continuous mist in the mountains, and that is why the tea is so good, because tea plantations do need that mist, and of course they need to be planted on those nice, very steep slopes. It's just so wonderful to be up here and to feel the sunshine.
Yeah, it's fun to know all of the history on the tea that we learned about in Taiwan because it's very applicable here now.
Yes, exactly.
What is it, Claire?
It's a tiger paw print. So wild to see it on the same path that we're hiking on. Ooh. It came here to drink the water, and we were also learning that the tigers do not like to maneuver through the jungle as much. They kind of like these open paths. So we're pretty lucky to be able to see a paw print.
Yeah, it looks fresh.
Very fresh.
To my untrained eye. What an absolutely beautiful hike. We had about 1,000 feet of elevation gain overall, and it was about a little over 3 miles. That was so much fun. It was beautiful. I'm glad to be back. We're just gonna relax and enjoy the evening. And I believe we're actually gonna have a late lunch pretty soon.
Unfortunately, that was the last shot we were able to film for this video because I actually had to be rushed down the mountain to go to the hospital. You might have noticed in the video that my voice was a little bit strained and rough, and that was because I was fighting off a viral infection that the doctors guessed to be a pretty severe case of contact dermatitis. We had the hardest time trying to decide whether we should go to the hospital or not. We were so excited to be in India, and when you're in such a beautiful place, as you saw from those drone shots, from the hike that we did, it was tough to make the call to leave that destination and go to the hospital.
So for a little bit of background, last summer Claire got appendicitis, so she had to get her appendix removed, and at the time we weren't really taking it seriously. Like I was like, oh, she probably has IBS pain, and we weren't really going to the hospital, but it progressively got worse, and we were very lucky that we were close to a hospital because that could have been really bad. And so when we were in India and we saw Claire having a rash and she had a fever and just really wasn't feeling well, we wanted to take it more seriously as the days progressed, and she wasn't really getting any better.
Right, and I did want to say, like, what I had was not contagious at all. Like, Chad didn't get sick during the entire time that I had the illness, but I just was not feeling good. It's harder to tell in the videos because obviously I want to be very excited about wherever we are, and I still felt so grateful to be there, and that's mostly what you saw documented when we were hiking around Munnar. But I definitely was suffering through some pretty high fevers. I had fatigue, body aches, chills, and it was just getting harder and harder to film and enjoy my time in India. And so we ended up staying in the hospital for nearly a week, which I mean, to be honest, it was a pretty big bummer because we traveled a very long way.
Across the world.
Yeah, across the world to get to India. And we'd put a lot of our money down to experience this adventure to the fullest. Of course, being content creators as well, our livelihood depends on us documenting these videos. And so we were just, we were really struggling to make the call to go to the hospital because we knew we would kind of be stripped away of the content that would allow us more time at home with the dogs later on. But I am glad that I did go to the hospital and I got medical care. Obviously, I am healthy now, thank goodness, but it was actually a pretty long healing journey that extended beyond our time in India. Like, even when we got back home, I was still battling it out, and I hope that I never get it again, but the doctors still have no clue what exactly it was that I had. But something that did give us some peace of mind was Chad here booked us some travel medical insurance before going to India. I didn't even know that he did that.
I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, the hospital bill would have just put such a strain on
top of everything we were already feeling.
Right.
Yeah, and just a little bit of disclaimer. In the past, we haven't traveled with travel medical insurance. It's something that we probably should have, but when you're a budget and you're just starting out and you're like, we're young, you don't really worry about that. And as we're getting older, I'm now putting that money down for every trip to make sure that we're covered because this last trip was a great example. I'm just so glad that we had it. So we used Safety Wing in order to be covered for this trip, and we had such a great experience. From the entire process of even booking the insurance, just telling them the dates and when we'd need our coverage, from the claims and after the fact, it went so much better, or basically how I'd hope insurance would go, and I can't recommend it anymore.
Yeah, and we have our own experience going through just like the struggles and challenges of being in the hospital. The last thing you want to worry about is how much it's going to cost you and what a dent it might make to your bank account. And so like having that for me while I was laying in the hospital bed, like Chad just saying like, hey, it's all going to be covered, don't worry, was just so much easier for me to focus on healing rather than the outside stressors of, you know, funding the hospital stay.
So for this trip, we went with the Essentials plan, which is basically for anyone that travels for shorter periods of time, that's the plan you would want to go for. And then they also have a complete plan for those that are traveling all the time or they're not in their home country. You can have medical coverage all year round, anywhere that you go.
Yeah, so you bet your bottom dollar that we're gonna be getting travel medical insurance for our next trip. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit more of what happened at the end of our time in India and how like my medical crisis even progressed all the way back in Doha, I'll leave a link in the description box with a whole newsletter that I wrote covering it. And if you want to have any of the inside scoops on the behind the scenes of our travel and just honestly our honest thoughts on a lot of differing topics, the newsletter is a great platform to join. It's completely free. You can unsubscribe at any point. And it's kind of like my journal where I just share like my deepest, truest thoughts. We've talked about contentment, the loneliness epidemic, what it's like to work as a couple, what it's like to move out to the countryside. It does allow you to connect with us on a more personal level. So just want to throw that out there if you're interested.
Claire does such a great job with the newsletter. I love reading through it because I never know what she's going to be writing about until after she's been like, hey, here's the draft, go look through it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so good, Claire. I love it.
Honestly, I don't even know what I'm going to be writing about until I just get in the flow of writing, and then it's like, oh, suddenly I'm talking about, you know, being discontent or something. I'm like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. But it's kind of fun. It's just conversations that you might have with us if you're here with us in person. But with all of that said, this is the end of our India series.
So sad.
So difficult for me to say that because I had just so much more that I wanted to do and share in India, but we're gonna have to go back another day. This series was cut short by a lot, but I'm just grateful to be healthy and to be alive, to be here with Chad, to have love and support as I journey through kind of like the grief of losing the rest of that trip. But
at least we can go back.
Yeah, we can go back, and there's so much more exciting adventures to look forward to this year. So thank you so much for supporting us here on YouTube and just cheering us on as we navigate the highs and lows of life and travel. If you'd like to follow along as we travel to 50 countries around the world, hit subscribe. With all that said, catch you all in the next one.
Bye.